Hi guys, I'm Clay Ballard with Top Speed Tennis, and today we're going to be talking about how to get the perfect grip size for your tennis racket. So for those of you that are beginning players, maybe you haven't bought a racket before, this will be a great video to help you to get that perfect size and show you how to measure that. The first thing to know when you're picking your grip size is that this isn't exact science. There's a little bit of personal freedom when you're picking your grip size. There's two different things that you need to know before ever deciding to choose one. One, the smaller the grip, so if we can imagine that I'm holding this grip and it's only the size of a pencil, a really tiny grip, any bit of turn I'm going to get in there is really going to change the angle of the face. So if I like to create a lot of spin, I want to do some specialty shots, maybe having a little bit smaller of a grip will be beneficial to you, or maybe you'll just like the feel of a smaller grip. The opposite of that, if we can now imagine that the grip is the size of a football, as I start to turn my hand, it's really only going to turn the racket a little bit. So it's going to make it much more consistent and much more stable. That may be something that you like the feel of. So it's all up to preference. You can choose a grip that's a little bit bigger or smaller than what's recommended. But if you're looking for the standard size to start with, there's two ways to check this. Number one, I can take my tennis grip, and if I look at the space between my fingers and my thumb, I should be able to fit about an index finger in that gap. Also, another way to measure this is if we take out a ruler, you want to go from the bottom lifeline that's going across your hand up through your ring finger, and you're going to measure up, and we're going to see here that I'm about a 4.5 if I measure it on this ruler. So that's a great place to start, and then you can modify it from there. So personally, I use a grip that's a little bit smaller than what's recommended for a couple reasons. One, I like a little bit smaller of a grip. I feel like it's more maneuverable. And two, as you start to add an overgrip, so if you're not familiar with an overgrip, that's a kind of a cushioned grip that wraps around your normal grip. And the good thing about these is you can replace these, but that's going to add a little bit of size to the grip. So with a 4 3/8, once I put the overgrip on there, that's going to add about a 1/16 of an inch, and it's going to make it slightly larger. So if you're in between grips, that's another good point here. If you're in between grips, you don't know if you want a smaller grip or a larger grip, it's always better to go with one that's slightly smaller because it's easier to build that up. Once you put your overgrip on there, it's going to be slightly bigger. You can also get a heat shrink wrap that you put around your grip. You heat it up with like a hair dryer, and that's going to shrink onto the grip, and that's going to add about an 1/8 of an inch to the grip size. So if you get a little too small, you want to build it up, put a heat shrink wrap on there. That's going to build it up an 1/8. Throw an overgrip on that, and you're going to build it up another 1/16, and you're already going to have a much larger grip, and that's very easy to do. If you get one that's too big, it's impossible to make it any smaller with the modern tennis rackets. You just can't do it. So go smaller if you're in between grip sizes. Another thing to note when you're picking a grip or when you're putting on overgrips and overwraps, that's going to add a little bit of weight to the handle, which can make the head, the overall racket weight, a little bit heavier, and it can also put a little more weight down toward the handle, which is going to affect the balance point. Not a huge deal. It's not a ton of weight, but it's just something to be conscious of. You don't really want to build this up with a ton of heavy material down here that could throw off the balance of the racket. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Good luck picking out that racket, and I'll see you all soon.